गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुस्साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। नमामि गौडपादं च शङ्करं श्रीसुरेश्वरं स्वामिनं सच्चिदानन्दमिन्द्रं तं ज्ञानरूपिणे। ॐ नारायण। So, Anatma, we were discussing the nature of Atma, Anatma and their properties. The nature of Atma is nature of Atma and its properties. If you think of them, Atma by its nature is Nirvishesha Chaitanya, Nirvishesham, and the properties that we have talked about, Atma, are not really properties. They are only Atma's nature. Second thing about Anatma. The Anatma is nothing but Atma not understood properly. Anatma is not an entity by itself. It is not understood. When you are trying to understand something, you just see a rope. Something is lying there. You are trying to understand the rope. When you didn't understand it completely as it is, when you haven't understood, when you could not understand what is lying there completely as it is, you come to have some understanding of it. Some understanding which is not true to the object lying there. That some understanding is called adhyasa. The thing is rope there. The rope, when the rope is not understood completely, perfectly, though you are trying, although you are trying to understand, but due to some obstruction or something, you couldn't understand it completely exactly as it is, but have some understanding. That some incomplete half of understanding is called adhyasa, and in that understanding what you come to see, what you come to perceive is the Jagat, is the world, or is the snake. The Mithya world, when we say Mithya world, means an incomplete, a slightly distorted understanding of Brahma is called Jagat. Okay. A distorted understanding of the world, an incomplete understanding, not world, I mean Brahman. The incomplete understanding of the truth, a distorted understanding of the truth is called world, is called Mithya. Mithya itself is not another entity. Remember that. Mithya itself is not another entity by itself. It is the same Satyam, not completely understood, understood a little distorted way. That a distorted understanding of the truth of Satyam is called Mithya. Because Mithya, when it is properly understood, it is understood as Brahman alone. The snake is a distorted understanding of the rope. Snake itself is not an entity. Snake itself is not an entity similar to the rope. Just as a rope is an independent entity, snake is not such an independent entity like rope. But the same rope, when not understood completely and correctly, but in a incompletely, in a distorted way, that understanding is called snake. So the snake, then what is the truth of snake? The true understanding, the truth of the snake is, when you understand the snake in its correct nature, you come to the rope. Because snake itself is not an entity, but a misunderstanding, a wrong understanding of the rope. When you try to understand the reality of the snake, you arrive at a rope, and the snake doesn't exist separate from the rope. Isn't it? The same thing. Mithya is not an entity on its own. The world is not an entity on its own. But it is the way the very truth appears to us. The truth of the world. The very truth of the world. The way it appears to us in our incomplete understanding, in our incomplete view. The very truth, the way the truth appears to us in our incomplete understanding is called world. World is a tentative appearance, an incomplete understanding of the truth. But even in incompleteness, even in distortion, there is a certain orderliness. You have a certain order, certain things happen. See, even in your misunderstanding of the rope, for snake also has a shape. Snake also has a certain appearance. Snake also can do something to you. It can threaten you. It can frighten you. Snake also frightens. So as a snake, it will serve its own purpose. It frightens you. But once you understand the rope, the snake and all the product of the snake, that means the fear, whatever worry, tension, fear, whatever you had, all that goes away along with the correction, along with the snake, which is correctly understood to be rope, which is corrected, and it is understood to be the rope in its original nature. Similarly here, Anatma is not an entity by itself. When Atman not understood correctly, perfectly as it is, the way the same Atma appears is called Anatma. Therefore, Tattva Anyatvabhyam Anirvachaniyam. It appears as something, but the something itself is not being an entity on its own. It is neither the Atman itself, nor it is something independent of Atman, nor it is something apart from the Atman. Anatma is not something apart from Atman, independent of Atman, because it has no existence of its own. It is the very rope, but appears in a particular way. Okay, regarding Anatma. Then coming to these qualities which we told, Atma's qualities. The qualities of Atma, which we described before, are not different from the Atma. They are actually the nature of the Atma. But the very nature of the Atma, why the nature of the Atma is described as a quality? Why the nature of the Atma is described as a quality? For example, Atma exists. Okay, I'll give you one example of this. Atma exists. Here, existence is not a quality of the Atma. When you say the flower is beautiful, beauty is a quality of the flower. Okay, because the flower could be the otherwise, may not be so beautiful. Okay, the book is big. We say the bigness is a quality of a book. The book is very big. Oh, it's a very big book, a dictionary. Very big book. When you say the book is big, very big, you understand that this book is big, or now it is big. Sometimes a book can be small also. That means being big, the bigness is a verifiable quality. Varying quality. It is not the very nature of the book, but this time this book happens to be big, but some books are not big. So the books can be big, books can be small. This particular book happens to be big. So big is one of the many features of the book. So it is a quality, isn't it? So when you say book is big, big is the quality of it. Similarly, Atma exists. When you say, is existence a state of Atma? A particular condition of Atma? Human being, you can say, oh, where is he? You saw a book published long before 30 years ago. Now you want to know, oh, is this person alive now? Because this book was published 30 years ago. We don't know whether he is alive or not. Now, is the person existing now? You ask. People say, no, he is no longer. He no longer exists. At one time he existed, but no longer he exists now. That means existence is a tentative state of a person. He lived for a while. After some time he passed away. He lived for a while and passed away after some time. That means living or existing is a tentative state of a person. He exists, sometimes he doesn't exist. So the existence we are taking as a tentative state or a quality of a person, as if it is a quality. But similarly, can we say Atma exists? Means, is existence a tentative state of Atma? That sometimes it doesn't exist, sometimes it exists. Now, is existence a tentative state or a quality of Atma? No. Atma is existence. Existence is Atma. Atma is existence. Existence is Atma. That means it is synonymous to Atma. Whether you call it Atma or you call it existence, both the words mean the same. Existence is synonymous to Atma. Atma is synonymous to existence. Therefore, you can't say Atma exists. See, Atma exists, it goes wrong, because existence is not a tentative condition, a quality, a feature, one of the many features of Atma. Existence is the very Atma. Now, in this sense, this we have discussed before, but again I am just, because this is the nature of the Atma is something, should never be made shortcut. That is an academic style. Once we explain, oh, we already explained and leave it. Atma Swarupam should not be say, we already explained. Because it is a class of Manana and Nididhyasana. We have to again and again and again and again touch the Atma Swarupam. Because Atma Swarupam is something we have to understand and intuit it and stay as the Atma. So other things, other technical details like Vyakarana and many points say we already explained. But Atma Swarupam whenever comes, again discuss. Again comes, again discuss. Because Atma Swarupam, it is the very nature. It can't be just skipped as that refer the previous book. You can't say refer. You again. Atma nature, Atma Swarupam has to be understood. Therefore, the essential points of Vedanta are repeated again and again and again, thousands of times, until you come to realize, until you come to discover your nature as Atma. Okay. So because in this, the misunderstandings have to be corrected. Therefore, we repeatedly point out the misunderstandings so that they get corrected and the real nature of Atma is understood. So here, the existence, we take one example as an existence is not a quality of Atma, is not a tentative state of Atma, is not an optional feature of Atma, it is Atma. Then if existence is the nature of Atma, why did we call these are the properties of Atma? He says, this again is adhyaropita drishtya. Swamiji says here, chit swarupaneva chaitanyadin upadhyapekshaya tad pratadbhutaneva prakalpya tesham tad dharmatvena vyapadeshaha. Swamiji's manana is amazing. If you want to see another Shankara, after reading Shankara Bhashyam, if you want to see another Shankara, you have to read Swamiji's books. Both the language wise, he has picked up the style of Shankara, the language, style, the words, expressions, idioms even. Idioms, everything he followed Shankara's. Shall I tell you one thing? If Sachidananda Swamiji was born few centuries ago, 4 or 5 centuries ago, people would think that this is a Shankara's writing alone and attribute it to Shankara directly. Because the language, the expression, the style, clarity is so beautiful, so close to Shankara. Because he is a 20th century man, he recently passed away, and there are many people even now who have seen him, who have studied under him. Therefore, and we know clearly that he is a man of 20th century, so nobody doubts that, reading his books we can see these are of Sachidananda Swamiji. There are many books attributed to Shankara, even though the language, the style, the expressions, the prakriya, everything is different from Shankara. But if Swamiji, had he lived a few centuries before, if somebody tells that this is really Shankara's book alone, people would believe it. Because his language, his idioms, his expressions, his presentation, prakriya, everything is Shankara. You can say another Shankara. If somebody says Shankara's reincarnation, and we have to say, because exactly the same thing. It's a surprise. And you see how every point he discusses so beautifully. His manana is so beautiful. Scholars you find write books and scholarship. Swamiji wrote 200 books. The credit, the greatness of Swamiji is not in the number of the books nor the volume of the books, the size of the books. The greatness of Swamiji is not in the number of books, not in the size of the books, but the depth and clarity of the books. The depth and clarity, which comes only who does the very good manana according to Anubhava. See the depth and clarity of his understanding. See the presentation also. Now, we discussed Atma Dharmas exchanged with Anatma. Anatma Dharmas exchanged. Now we are discussing here, are there dharmas to Atma? No. When we know that those which are described as the dharmas of Atma, like existence, consciousness, changelessness, these are the things which are described as the qualities of Atma, properties of Atma, are not at all the qualities, but they are the very nature of Atma. If that is the case, true. It is very convincing that these are all nature of Atma, not the qualities of Atma. Then why did Shankaracharya say Dharma Dharmi, Atma and their dharmas? Why did he call? Not only Shankaracharya, even Vedanta addresses. Why do you say? Why are from what standpoint? He says, Chitswarupa Aneva Chaitanyadin, the consciousness, the existence, etc., they are really the very nature of Atma. Chitswarupa Aneva Chaitanyadin, Upadhyapekshaya Tat Pruthak Bhutaniva Prakalpya. We imagining means assuming. Assuming as if they are different from Atma, they are described as assuming them. Okay. Assuming them to be different from Atma, they are described as properties of Atma. Okay. To be able to call them as properties, you have to assume them as if they are different. It is like existence and Atma. You present Atma is existing. Existence is the nature, property of Atma. You assume existence as if it is a property. As if it is a property of the Atma and talk of it. How? How can we do that? That is due to Upadhi. Okay. Upadhi means what? What do you call Upadhi? They try to explain technically. Upadhi means what is not its intrinsic nature, but looked from others' angle, it seems to be there. What is assumed in a thing due to an alien standpoint, not its original standpoint. What is assumed to be present there, what appears to be there, or what is assumed there, either way. What is assumed to be there, what appears to be there due to an alien standpoint, from another standpoint is called upadhi. That another standpoint is upadhi. And what appears today is aupadhika guna. The gunas which appear due to upadhi. What upadhi? Anatma is the upadhi. Because we see this guna guni sambandha. Substance and quality, these guna guni, dravya and guna, this we find in the anatma. Therefore, by relating to anatma, by imposing the anatma standpoint, we imagine as if the very nature of atma is the quality of atma. Why? It is a tentatively for a purpose to show that there is adhyasa. Because in adhyasa, it looks that atma's qualities appear in anatma. Since the very nature of atma appears in anatma, the very nature of atma is existence and consciousness. The nature of atma is existence, nature of atma is consciousness. So this existence and consciousness appears to have been transferred to anatma. They have not really happened because real transferring is impossible. Because the existence and consciousness are the nature of atma. How can they be separated from atma and transferred to anatma? It's impossible to transfer to them because they can never be pulled out of atma. They can never be separated, pulled out of atma and attributed to anatma. It's impossible. Because the existence remains with atma. Consciousness remains with atma because consciousness is atma. The very existence is atma. How can atma lose its very nature? Qualities of atma transferring to anatma means what? They are no more, the nature, they are no more nature, they become qualities. But here they are not qualities. The fact is they are not qualities. They are the very nature. Though they are nature, due to adhyasa, they appear as if they are qualities and therefore those qualities appear elsewhere. Though they are the nature, they appear as qualities is due to adhyasa. That itself is adhyasa. Okay. It is not that before adhyasa we find the qualities of atma and then the qualities of atma are exchanging is adhyasa. Therefore, it is not that first there were qualities and later they are exchanged by way of adhyasa. It is not that, I repeat it, it is not that first there were qualities of atma and they are imposed on anatma. Before imposition they were not qualities. It is only due to adhyasa we start seeing them as qualities. The very nature of atma we start seeing as qualities only due to adhyasa. Therefore, it is the very adhyasa of anatma. It is the very adhyasa of anatma makes the very nature of atma appear as qualities. Imagine as qualities. Because to explain adhyasa, to understand adhyasa, we just imagine them to be qualities. Therefore, he says, ta prathak bhutaneva prakalpya upadhyapekshaya, due to anatma upadhi. Upadhyapeksha means adhyasa apekshaya, from the standpoint of adhyasa. Prathak bhutaneva prakalpya okay. It is due to adhyasa, they appear to be qualities. And then we talk them as the quality. We imagine them to be qualities, then talk of them as qualities. Imagining, talking, both are adhyasa. Okay. The next point. In Atma, we have already discussed. In Atma, there are no qualities, they are only nature. But we imagined due to adhyasa the qualities and talk of them. Then what about anatma now? Vyavaharikam cha anatmana pratitika sattvam. Regarding anatma also same way. Even anatma also is not independently existing. Yet we assume to be existing, yet we assume there is an Atma. Because it is only in the wake of Adhyasa, Anatma appears to be there. The very appearance of Anatma is due to Adhyasa. Therefore, Anatmanaha Pratitika Sattvam. Pratitika, appearing. Anatma appears to exist. That means its existence is only an appearance alone, not the reality, not the real existence. Anatma appears to exist, and in that apparent state alone, during that imaginary appearance, dharma dharmi bhavam. Even in Anatma there is no dharma dharmi. Yet, just as Anatma is an appearance, even the dharma dharmi bhava, guna guni bhava, substance and quality relation also we imagine in it. Yatha prasiddhameva abhyupagamya. What appears in our common parlance, in our transactional life, Vyavaharika life. In Vyavahara we see the world. When we see the world, what do we see? We see the things existing. We see that there are things, many things. This is Anatma. We see many things, like the book and the table and the wall and the tree, many things. We see many things, stone and water and all, fire. All these are Anatma. Anatma means they appear to be existing and also appear to be having qualities. Something is there and it has qualities. A thing is, there is one thing and it has some qualities. There is another thing and it has some qualities. There is another thing and it has some qualities. Like this, we see many things and each one having some quality. Okay. We see many things and having some qualities. So this seems to be our common man's experience. It is a common experience of all common men. Okay? Common experience of all common people. That means it is a Vyavaharika is a commonly found in Vyavahara. So this commonly found Vyavahara we call it because it is unverified appearance. It appears, but we have not yet verified and established it to be the reality. What appears, we just take it for granted and proceed. Sometimes some news comes. We spread the news to others without verifying. After spreading it to many people, much later, after 10 days or 1 month, we come to know all that was a false news. Fake news created by somebody. Okay. Similarly, the world consists of many objects. That means many dravyas, and each dravya having some qualities. Okay. This dravya guna sambandha and Anatma appearance yatha prasiddhameva. Yatha prasiddham means this is how we naturally, commonly see, instinctively we see, and everybody takes for granted, and our life continues. Our life continues assuming many things. See, in our common life, there is no perfect. I'll give you one example. How, though it is wrong, life continues. We understand the sun is rising and setting. It is wrong, but we believe and our life continues. Sun is rising and setting. It is not true, but we take it for granted and live with it, and we based upon it, our life continues. Many things we assume. There is no perfect understanding. In fact, in our life, we ourselves have not understood anything perfectly well. Nobody can understand a thing completely. In our mutual communication also, there are lot of misunderstandings. Because we cannot understand correctly, perfectly anything on earth. Even between person to person, there are at least a small 1% of misunderstanding. Misunderstanding means wrong understandings are there. Yet we go by the broad right understanding and live. We ignore them and live. If you want a perfect understanding, human life is impossible. And such a thing doesn't exist in life at all. There are always a partial misunderstanding. Yet we ignore them. This is how the life is. I might have misunderstood. What I know might be wrong or might be right. We continue the life. Even though it is not perfect understanding, we continue. This is what we mean Vyavahara. Many things we accept, we take for granted, whether right or wrong, or partly right or partly wrong. Vyavahara continues and we just live. We do few mistakes, and in spite of mistakes, we live and we continue. We don't expect a perfect understanding and a perfect mistakenlessness. If you go by that way, you will become very impractical person on the earth, and you will have only enemies on the earth. Like me. If you want a correct and perfect understanding, I have only enemies on the earth. Enemies are not personal, but ultimately they think that I am their personal enemy. I go by understanding. I want a very clear. Some people say my explanation of Vedanta is very clear. I tell you, it is in my nature. Whatever I understand, because I have been receiving these compliments right from my childhood. That's because in my nature, I want a very perfect clarity, perfect assurance about a thing. I never like a superficial understanding, vague understanding. I verify each one. Each one I learnt and verify. I explain clearly. But even this explanation is, even my clarification is becoming so problematic. The person standing in front of me, more I explain, more he gets confused. I used to think that if I explain more detail, he will understand perfectly. Our Brahmachari Ramprakash says, Swamiji, more you explain, more they get confused. More you explain, more they misunderstand. Therefore, then what am I to do? It is like this alone. Nobody can explain perfectly. Nobody can understand. This is how the world goes on. So there is something in my mind, in my nature, even a worldly thing or any small thing, I want a very clear and perfect understanding. And also correct explanation, correct way of presenting. Things should be clear to me, and I also explain very clear to others. This is you don't know whether you call it whether to call it a good quality or bad quality. And this has created lot of enemies on the earth. Everywhere, including Karyalaya, they all misunderstand my criticism. My purpose of my criticism is to make it very accurate and clear understanding. And this, for sake of accuracy and clarity, I have to explain and point out the mistakes and say this is wrong, this is wrong. To say this is wrong because in contrast you understand what is right. When I more and more clearly point out, people think that I am only criticizing them, I am pointing out their mistakes. So this is creating a very difficulty. Therefore, if you want a perfect clarity, you will have more enemies. In Vyavahara, what happens? There are lot of misunderstanding, lot of partial understanding, lot of superficial understanding. But we live and we continue. We continue with like this alone. There are problematic people. See, at your home alone, your husband or a wife or your son or father or mother are highly problematic people. They are liars. They tell you something against you. Do you know that? Your father or mother propagates something against you. Your husband or wife or son tells something against you in the society. But what will you do? They are your relatives. You are born to them and they are born to you. You have to live together in one house. Where will you go? Duryodhana is a problematic fellow. But he is a brother alone. Where will you go? He is a brother. You have to live together with him. There is no way. You have to live. So, in spite of problems, in spite of misunderstanding, life has to be lived. If life has to be lived means what? What else can you do? It is not that you can't refuse to live because of misunderstanding. Because whether you like or not, life continues. It is not life gets lived. You don't live. You don't live. Life gets lived. Supposing a person committed a mistake, no, I will not have friendship with him. I will not like him. I will not accept from him. Tomorrow the time comes that you have to accept from him. You have to live with him. Supposing you don't like somebody. In your office, the fellow is transferred to your section and you have to work with him. I think you learn this Vyavahara perfectly well in business and politics. You watch the businessman and politics. It may look that I am talking Vyavaharic things, but understand the Vyavahara. Vyavahara, the very idea of Vyavahara I am talking. Take an example of politics. We common people criticize the politician. These politicians have no principles at all. How the politicians are selfish fellows, we criticize them. How The politicians say something, criticize the fellow. Tomorrow he will resign from this party and join with you. We say, my God, are these human beings? We left and right, we criticize them. Ruthlessly we criticize them. But we people who are criticizing the politicians are unable to understand that the very situation is like that. Any biggest person, any best person has to talk like that. There is no way, nothing can be done. Because whom you criticize also you have to live with him. What can you do? Politics, if you want to say that if a person commits a mistake, I will not live with him, I will not admit him into my party, you will have no party. Except you, your party will not exist. You watch it. Your party will not exist. If you find fault with a person and say that because of his mistakes I will not accept the person, you will be living like me. Me means I am really telling me this Prakash Ananya. You have no friends on the earth. After sannyasa I have no friends anybody. Even before also. Because when you talk everything strictly, even I have lost all my friends. Even I have lost all my disciples also. Nobody can be my student. Nobody can be my friend. Because if you go by principle, you cannot do vyavahara. Okay. In politician, that's why they compromise. He criticizes a person for his mistake and say, because of him, I won't like him, I will dismiss him from party, he will shout. And tomorrow he will invite him and again with him alone he will continue the policy, continue the administration. And you say, my God, these fellows have no scruples at all. These politicians, we criticize. But you have to understand, this is vyavahara. Business or politics, this is how the world is. You know it is wrong, still you have to live with him. You find the mistake, still you have to live with him. We criticize people. Even I too criticize. When I criticize people in Karyalaya, they think that I start hating them. I criticize, but still I worked with them. I worked with them, they gave me a lot of work, they gave trouble to me, again we forgot and again continued the work. That's how we helped in these books and proofreading and publishing and editing and all that thing. They created a lot of problem. But what can you do? This is how the world continues. Nothing can be done. Still we worked together with all friendliness, with all love and compassion, we continued. We have to work. This is how the world is. Therefore, vyavahara, we cannot have perfect understanding. It's impossible. Therefore, when people criticize, again compromise, again criticize, again compromise and live with him, don't criticize them. People say, oh my God, how can there be war between gods? War between rishis. Rishis quarrel, people ask. Why rishis quarrel? Rishis quarrel not because of their individuality, because they assume two different standpoints. The standpoints in the world happen to be different. Supposing fire and water quarrel. Why? You may ask, fire is created by God, water is created by God. Fire is also God, water is God. Why should they quarrel? They quarrel because it is their very nature to quarrel. Because fire is opposite to water, water is opposite to fire. If there is more water, fire will be gone, put out. If there is more fire, it swallows the water. If the fire is more, bigger one, it dries away the river. It dries the very river. Because it's the very nature. Therefore, ordinary people quarreling and rishis quarreling, there is a difference. Ordinary people quarrel out of hatred, out of real ego. When the rishis and gods quarrel, not out of ego, because the standpoints they take are different by their very nature. You take one standpoint, I take a standpoint. The very standpoints are opposite, what can you do? The standpoints are different. The standpoints are different and they are opposite to each other and they cannot be combined. What can you do? You say, oh, they are rishis, they are sannyasis, they are great people, why should they criticize? Why should they oppose? To help you to understand, supposing there is one rishi or one swami or one jnani, one great man, he takes one standpoint and argues. Another man takes another standpoint and argues. Now you say, oh my God, why are they arguing? Why are they opposing each other, criticizing each other? Like us, we ordinary people criticize. Why should they criticize? Oh. Then to help you to understand, I say, you exchange their places. You shift that rishi to this standpoint, this rishi to the standpoint. You know what happens? This rishi started defending this standpoint and that rishi stands defending that standpoint. Quarrel will remain from different standpoint. You will wonder, what is this? That is because it is the very standpoints that are opposite, not they people. The standpoints that are opposite, you cannot help. Therefore, world, there are certain things which are opposite. North Pole, South Pole are opposite. North Pole and South Pole are opposite. If you take the, what you call that, Ayaskanta, magnet, South and North are opposite. Because the opposite poles get attracted, and then what you say in that magnet, if you say the magnet is like this, one is south, one is north. So you take the two magnets, the south with south get repelled. South and north, they get attracted. Isn't it? No, it's the very nature. South and south, they get repelled. Now, it is not the weakness of a given person. It is the nature of the very standpoint to oppose each other, to be opposite to the other. Therefore, they are opposite. They quarrel. Similarly, politicians also, because the field is such, they have to take a stand and criticize. But again, you have to compromise, because there is no way. Because everybody has same mistake. Everybody does some or other mistake. If you say, I won't tolerate the mistake, then the politics won't run. And ordinary people say, are these politicians? They are human beings, so wretched fellows. They are so dirty fellows, selfish fellows. They are compromising. They have no values. They have no principles at all. They are like Asura. We keep on criticizing. You become politician tomorrow, let me see, what will you do? You will have to do the same thing. Of course, there is a difference. The nature in the world, nature in the standpoint is different. Then you are selfishly using the standpoint. So this is the difference. The rishis, personally they don't hate, but the standpoint they take have to be opposite to each other. Okay. The stand they take, it is opposite. But personally they have no vengeance against each other. You see the politicians, they criticize in parliament. Again, parliament session is over, they shake hand and sit together on the same platform and speak. You invite them, both of them, they come for a function. Stand by, they do namaskara, they shake hand, they laugh, they share the jokes. You will wonder, this is the fellows, how much they criticize during election. Again they talk to each other. Oh my God, this is how the politicians are. They fellows are, they have no values at all. And they have no values at all. They are hypocrites, we call them. I say, there is no way, you can't do anything. Similarly in Vyavahara, you don't know many things. Sun is rising is wrong. Sun is traveling is wrong. Sun is setting is wrong. Still you have to accept that sunrise, sunset and continue. Surya Udaya Kale Sandhya Vandanam. See, people say scientifically, let us argue. At the time of sunrise, you have to do Sandhya Vandanam. And he says, sun doesn't rise at all. How can you do Sandhya Vandanam? If you argue like that, nobody can do Sandhya Vandanam. Isn't it? Sun is rising. At the time of rising, you do Sandhya Vandanam, you do Namaskara. He says, sun has not risen, he is always there. Then how can you do Namaskara? If you argue like that, you won't live. But in Vyavahara, you assume that sun is rising and do Sandhya Vandanam. Therefore, we say this is Vyavahara. Don't say Vyavahara is Satyam. Whether Satyam or not, we don't look at it. We take it for granted and continue. It need not be Satyam, maybe, may not be. We are not particular about it. Whether sun is rising or not is not a problem. Sun appears to be rising and do Sandhya Vandanam. That's all. Appears to be rising and do Surya Namaskara. Similarly, this is called Vyavahara. Vyavahara continues because Vyavahara. Vyavahara means you take it to be so, you take it to be as such and continue using it. It may not be, but continue using it. That's all. It may not be that. We don't know, but continue to be using that. Therefore we say, if he has committed the mistake, I am condemning him. That means we don't know whether he has committed mistake or not. Assuming that he has committed mistake, I have criticized him. I have dismissed him. Then what happened? Suppose the mistake is not committed, then my criticism is also withdrawn. You understand? Assuming that he committed the mistake, I criticize. Then if mistake is proven to be wrong, then your criticism is also proven to be wrong. Then what is this? Tell me, is there a mistake? Is your criticism? Why are you criticizing? Why do you say there is a mistake? Mistake is assumed, criticism is also assumed. When neither is there, then mistake is not there, criticism is also not there. This is how Vyavahara. Vyavahara, assuming you continue, that's all. It need not be there. Maybe there, may not be there. Okay. Vedantins thinking is very strange, but at the same time it is a fact. This is how the world is. This is how the world is. So here you see, Yatha Prasiddhameva. There is an Atma. We think that there is a world. We don't know. How do you know there is a world? I don't know. World appears to be there, and everybody calls it is a world, and we continue. Scientist says that there is no world. Those are only electrons. Even electrons, we are not sure. We don't know what is there. But I can say this much: what appears to be there is not there. The book appears to be book, but it is not book. The table appears. What appears to be table is not really table. What appears to be the earth is not really earth. What appears to be a plant is not the plant, not really the plant. This is how at least science agrees. At least science too agrees that what appears to be the world is not the world. Is not the way it is appearing. What appears to be the world, it is not the way it is appearing. It may be there in a different form, but the way it appears is not really there. But it appears to you, and you can continue, isn't it? It is a blue sky, you can say. Stand by the blue sky and take a photograph and enjoy how beautiful is the sky. But the sky is not blue. Oh, what do you mean? I have seen it with camera. Your camera is also taking a fake photograph. The blueness is fake, your camera is fake, and you put a photograph on your wall, it is also fake. But I am seeing the blue. You can see, but it is fake. This is called Vyavahara. This is called Mithya. You continue. It need not be there, but you continue. It appears to be there. You assume and continue. Therefore, we assume that there is an Atma. We assume that there are qualities and continue to be there. Therefore, Yatha Prasiddhameva Pratetika Sattvam. See, each sentence you have to do manana. Sufficient manana. Watch the world. Watch your anubhava. Point by point, until it becomes very clear. This is how the vichara has to be done. Therefore, I always say, there should be no hurry in finishing the book. I always, whenever, you see, this is one important point. Whichever guru I have studied from, they were always looking at the time and we have to finish it. I told Swamiji, don't worry about finishing the book. Don't worry about how much time we have got. Even if the book is half finished, even if the book is only 10 pages finished, it doesn't matter. We want to understand it. He says, oh, others might feel that the book is not finished, therefore I am trying to do. No, I am not compromising. I explain all the points. You explain all the points. It is not the question. See, you can finish the same book within 1 month or within 3 months. Within 1 month also you can finish the book. You can cover all points without leaving any point. But each point you only touch once. You touch once, but for Vedanta requires a repeatedly touching. Going deeply into it and looking from all angles, a lot of manana is required. Touching one point, I know it, but I don't understand it. Therefore, if you don't get sufficient time, there won't be manana. There will be just a bare one-time listening. One time. Each topic is touched one time. Only once I touch it. All topics I cover. But you won't understand anything. Hey, but you have touched everything. I have not left out. You have not left out. You have understood everything. You have listened to everything, but you don't understand. Because, see, there is a difference between one-time touching or repeatedly doing manana on it. Is there a difference in understanding or not? Is there a difference in understanding or not? See, when you have the same topic, you take up repeatedly, question, inquire, and do lot of manana and understand. Another is just barely one outline I will give you, and then topic is completed. There is a difference. Therefore, we say, take some time. Don't hurry. Point by point, do lot of manana, until the Atma, Anatma, Guna, Guni, whether it is a quality or not, every point becomes clear. Clear like a daylight. Therefore, Vedanta requires time, patience and time and manana. Okay? With all wholehearted observation, keep on observing. Okay, let us see here. Anatma is a Vyavaharikam. Vyavahara means what? It appears to be there, you also believe and you act like that. But is it really there? That we don't know. It may not be there also. It may not be there. But it appears to be there. You take it that way and use it that way and goes. You take the blue sky is there, take a photograph and put it there. But somebody says there is no blue sky. He says, so what? He said there is no blue sky. One scientist comes and says, how did you take photograph? And you put it here. It is a fake. There is no blue sky at all. He says it doesn't matter. So what? I have taken photograph and everybody is enjoying. Everybody congratulated me. It is all fake. Doesn't matter. Congratulations is real. Fake means let it be fake. But blue sky you can see and enjoy. You can see and enjoy without the sky being blue. Okay? Without the sky being blue you can enjoy. Without the sun rising it you can enjoy. You can see the tender sun, orange sun, red sun. Early morning sun is a tender rays, beautiful. You say sun is not tender and red. Doesn't matter, I can enjoy. This is called Vyavahara. You understand Vyavahara? It need not be really there, but your mind takes it for granted and goes ahead with it. Goes on with it. It appears to be there. Your experiences to be there, as if you have seen it. Like you take a photograph of a small aeroplane flying in the sky. It is small of this size. You take a photograph and put it here. Oh, how beautiful aeroplane. Somebody told aeroplane is not small of this size. Not of 1 foot aeroplane. Aeroplane is not 1 foot. Nobody has produced 1 foot aeroplane except the makkala. The children's playing. Children play with a plastic aeroplane. That is a playing. Okay. That may be 1 foot aeroplane. But real aeroplane can never be 1 foot. He says it doesn't matter. I take a photograph and enjoy. Similarly, Anatma seems to be there. The world seems to be there. There are qualities seems to be there. What seem to be there, we take it for granted and talk of it, that's all. We are not trying to say that they really exist. We don't know whether they exist or not. This is how it appeared to me and I spoke about it, that's all. This is called Vyavaharika Satyam. Okay. Vyavaharika Satyam means only this much. Vyavaharikam cha anatmanaha pratitika satmam dharma dharmi bhavam cha yatha prasiddhameva. Each word is so beautiful. Swamiji's presentation of Sugama, I think nobody can write a book like this. Adbhutavada book. Nobody can write a book like this. Dharma dharmi bhavam cha yatha prasiddham abhyupagamya. Assuming the way they appear. Assuming to be there. Jadatvadinam tad dharmatvena vyapadeshaha. That there is an anatma, you assume. That it has got qualities, you assume. Assuming the apparent thing, you go ahead with it. This is called, there is no contradiction. Okay. This paragraph has been going on for 1 week or more than 1 week. Now we have completed this paragraph. Go to the next paragraph. Mithya jnana nimittaha satyan rite mithani krutya vyavaharaha. Now the mithya jnana nimittaha, another point. Okay. I think since we have starting a new paragraph, we'll do tomorrow. Okay. Here in these things, just to summarize it, Atma, Anatma, there is a mutual exchange of Atma, Anatma and their transfer of their properties. Regarding this we discussed, is there Anatma other than Atma? No. Are there qualities of Anatma and qualities of Atma? Qualities of Atma don't exist apart from Atma. And qualities of Anatma, then Anatma itself doesn't exist. Where is the question of qualities of Anatma? Both of them are apparent. Then why talk of all these things? All these appear in the wake of Adhyasa. They didn't exist before Adhyasa. Before Adhyasa there is only one Atma. Advitiya Chaitanya Atma is the only one. So all these differences of Atma, Anatma, their qualities, all that is to be found only during Adhyasa. Therefore remaining in Adhyasa, for sake of discussion, we are dividing all these things. When you really separate Atma, Anatma, neither Anatma exists separately nor there are qualities. Once you do Viveka, there is only one Atma. In the Adhyastha condition alone, all these appear. Therefore, we are talking of them as they appear. Taking for granted as they appear, we are talking of them to help us to understand, to transcend our Adhyasa. That's all. So, whatever we discuss, don't say that these must be there, Atma is there, Anatma is there, all those things. It is only Vyavahara. Taking within Adhyasa what appears to be there, we are analyzing it, we are doing Viveka and discrimination. After understanding, after doing Viveka, there is only one Atma and no Anatma, no qualities, nothing. There is only one and one Atma alone. Okay, this is a summary of this paragraph. We have discussed in the last 1 week or even 10 days, I don't remember, maybe 5 to 7 classes we have discussed. Now, we go to the Mithya Jnana Nimittaha is another word. This is also an interesting point. In each paragraph, Swamiji discusses one most important point, and that needs to be done manana. Manana alone gives you clarity. Okay? Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Tat Sat.